is another edition of the 6 p.m. English News in the Queen's language. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and thanks for joining us live in Yaoundé for our 6 p.m. English News over the Republican television. Let's begin right away with our headlines. During a special plenary with members of the Constitutional Law on Human Rights of the National Assembly, the Deputy President, United Nations High Commission for Refugees in Cameroon praised the country for the effective management of refugees and internally displaced persons. The city of Yaoundé is currently undergoing decorations with twinkling, colorful, bright lights in preparation for the Christmas season. The trophy of the African Cup of Nations is in Cameroon. Officials of the Confederation of African Football and the main sponsor of the event, Total, presented the AFCON trophy to Sports Minister Narcisse Moele Kombi and to the Prime Minister Joseph Dion Gute this Tuesday, December 2nd in Yaoundé. Those were our headlines. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. The bilateral cooperation between Cameroon and Algeria has been revisited this Tuesday, December 2nd, 2021. This was during an audience granted by the Minister of External Relations to the new Algerian ambassador to Cameroon, His Excellency Mi Boumediene, who handed over his credentials to the minister. Bertrand Tita was our eyes and ears at the ministry. His report.
The long-lasting bilateral cooperation between Cameroon and Algeria, with over 10 bilateral accords in the economic sector, chambers of commerce of both countries, trade and justice, has been revisited with the presence of Mahi Boumediene, new Algerian ambassador to Cameroon, received in audience this Tuesday, December 7th, 2021, by the Minister of External Relations, Logène Belambela, at his ministerial department. Mahi Boumediene comes to replace Mazak Bejoui, who left Cameroon on November 2nd after serving for 6 years, 8 months. During the close to 2 hours audience at the Ministry of External Relations, the new Algerian ambassador to Cameroon, His Excellency Mahi Boumediene, presented his credentials to the minister. Born on December 27, 1958 in Tlemcen, Algeria, Mahi Boumediene is a magistrate in international law and has the rank of Minister Plenipotentiary. The new ambassador, with enthusiasm, is determined to push the Cameroon-Algerian cooperation, which has been very friendly and cordial, to higher heights. After presenting his credentials this Tuesday to the Minister of External Relations, His Excellency Mahi Boumediene will proceed to the Unity Palace to be received by His Excellency Paul Biya before he commences his duty in Cameroon. The 63-year-old has the mandate to represent his country in Cameroon, to coordinate all activities not only of the Foreign Service officers and staff serving under him, but also representatives of other Algerian agencies in Cameroon.
Gender Equality and the Empowerment of Women is a document entitled Country Gender Profile of the Ministry for the Promotion of Women and the Family, which was presented this Tuesday, December 7th, by a Professor Marie-Thérèse Abena Ondwa, the minister in charge of this department. We have details in the following report.
Women's empowerment and gender equality are among the development priorities that Cameroon has relied on to achieve emergence.
It is the document who make a citizen analysis of the situation of gender in the country as concerning women and men. So the study has been conducted under the leadership of the Ministry of Women Empowerment and the Family, with the support of UN Women and civil society organization, parliamentarian, other gender focal point of different ministries, and technical and financial partner.
The publication of the results of the Cameroon gender profile, which took place this day at the Ministry of Women Empowerment and the Family, is therefore a compass for all stakeholders in the field of gender equality and women's empowerment in Cameroon, and a special moment for the government to measure the progress achieved in the implementation of the national gender policy.
30% of women as concerning access to the decision-making position. So we also have an effort to make as concerning maternal mortality, school access to young girls in what we call zone d'éducation prioritaire. Zone d'éducation prioritaire.
Prioritize education.
Yes.
Areas.
Areas. Areas
Of priority.
Areas of priority. That means that it's a region, the north, far north, and Adamawa region. Also, an effort has to be as concerning HIV. As you could see, we still have 2 women infected against 1 man, and 3 young girls infected against one young boy. So, also we have to continue to improve the institutional framework of concerning gender equality in the country.
Developed with the support of UN Women, the gender profile aims to provide development actors such as the government, civil society organizations with a reference framework to ensure that their intervention contributes to the reduction of disparities between men and women in all areas of national life.
Still in connection to that event, the Minister of Women Empowerment and the Family, Professor Marie-Thérèse Abena-Ondoa, while appreciating the initiative of the publication of the country gender profile, said it is the first time a book of this genre is presented in Cameroon. Let's now listen to the Minister speaking on the microphone of William Staby.
This is the first time that Cameroon has a fairly complete and multi-sectoral inventory on gender. As we all know, the gender issue is one of the development priorities on which Cameroon has always relied to achieve emergence. It is for this reason that for several decades it has been increasingly recognized that the promotion of human rights and the fight against poverty cannot be achieved without the elimination of the inequalities between men and women in all sectors of development and at all levels of social life. Indeed, the firm will of the head of state to promote building of a just and democratic society and a state governed by the rule of law in which equality between men and women constitutes a fundamental value, is enshrined in its fundamental law of January 18, 1996. To this effect, the preamble of the Constitution states that, I quote, "Every human being, without distinction of race, religion, sex, or creed, has inalienable and sacred rights," end of quote. And we continue that all men, by men we mean men and women, are equal in rights and duties, end of quote. Seen in this light, Cameroon clearly reaffirms its commitment to the principles enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the United Nations Charter, the African Charters on Human and People's Rights, and other international and continental instruments for the protection and promotion of women's rights.
As you heard in one of our lead stories, the Deputy President, United Nations High Commission for Refugees in Cameroon has praised the country for the effective management of refugees and internally displaced persons. He was speaking this Tuesday, December 7th, at the National Assembly during a special plenary with members of the Constitutional Law on Human Rights of the National Assembly. We have details with BrigadeAntiSardinard.
the need to integrate refugees and internally displaced persons to have equal status in everyday activity is the center of a special plenary sitting at the conference center between the United Nations High Commission for Refugees and members of the Constitutional Law of Human Rights and Commission of the National Assembly. According to the representative of the President of the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, Cesar Chilombo, he agrees that Cameroon has good laws governing the rights of refugees. He, however, insists that the country needs to make more effort to include refugees in national programs so that they become independent.
Cameroon is the only country in the sub-region with a very, very progressive law on the refugees, giving refugees the same rights as national Cameroonian. So you cannot find this kind of disposition in other countries. So that is why I'm saying is the best in terms of the law, the program, so that they cannot be dependent on humanitarian aid, but they will be actor of the development. And then it is for the advantage of the country.
More needs to be done to fully give these refugees a place in the society.
Among the refugees, you have people with different experience, different skills. You have doctors, you have teachers, you have people with masters and so on. And then to put them aside is, I can say, we are missing something, because they will not be an actor of development, but they will be a burden for the country. So why not to use this expertise that you have in the country? I remember myself when I was young, it was refugees from Haiti who were our teachers.
During the special plenary, the Deputy President responded to pertinent worries from the lawmakers, but didn't fail to encourage the continuous respect of the law governing this set of persons.
Still in connection to that story, after the working session with the Commission Constitutional Law on Human Rights with the United Nations High Commission for Refugees at the conference center, our reporter BrigadeAntiSardinard caught up with one of the honorables in a bid to know the situation of Cameroon refugees and internally displaced persons. Let's take a listen between the two of them.
Good afternoon, Honorable. What is so special about this sitting with the United Nations High Commission for Refugees?
Session. It's a very special matter through the head of state and through the Commission for Refugees. It's very special. And that is why you see the openness of the state towards the laws, the care, the head of state through the National Assembly. That is why the matter is brought right at the National Assembly. So that we look in the possible solution how we can help the refugees, all of the Cameroon refugees, the neighboring country, well out the neighboring country. So that is one of the mission. The National Assembly, then the commission session. So you can understand from the point of view of all what was said, it is time. See how we can position them and get them into society. Why not? Then we go back there.
What about the internally displaced persons? Was anything discussed about them?
That is what we are talking about. The internally displaced person is a concern, but for the moment, we are looking at a possible solution pending the time we are going to. Because one of the best things the government is doing, the government led by the Excellency is looking at the goal, we see that Cameroon is wherever they go. The internal displaced is the major concern of the head of state. When you are internally displaced, you don't feel not at ease. So you think it's all right, so it's definitely. You can see how people can go back. That is what it's
is the government doing to prevent further crises and ways to incorporate especially ex-combatants and the return of Cameroon refugees?
When you come to the peace reign. That's the way of opening your hand and saying, welcome you my child, despite all this. One those ones that welcome back, peace reign. Peace reign. That is the purpose of the digital center. It's a way of expressing His love. It's just like Jesus Christ, just like God coming for sinners to come in. Because you cannot choose somebody and yet somebody is coming without coming. You did that in accident. You did that in ignorance. Jesus Christ. That's why I tell you, it takes a man like His Excellency.
We remain at the National Assembly, where members of the Finance and Budget Committee have been schooled on what the law says in the management of funds by local authorities. This was done this Tuesday, December 17th, at the conference center during a special meeting with the audit bench of the Supreme Court. We have BrigadeAntiSardinard once more.
The effectiveness of decentralization can only be attained when every franc is accountable for by the local authorities. The presence of the Regional Assembly and the local councils prompted the audit bench of the Supreme Court to meet face-to-face with Finance and Budget Committee of the National Assembly to orientate them on what the law says about the auditing of local officials.
Development of the various councils and regions.
To guarantee effective use of every resources at the disposal of municipal authorities, there was therefore the need for this special session to drill the committee members for onward transmission to the local authorities. The development of Cameroon and the effectiveness of decentralization depends on the judicial use of funds.
The city of Yaoundé is currently undergoing preparations in decoration with twinkly, colorful, bright lights in preparation for the Christmas season. Lighting a cruise of about 5 to 15 persons can be seen installing lights of all sorts at the Vogby, Tropicana, and Bastos around about. Our reporter Ruth Fonyon visited these areas and compiled the following report.
Barely 2 weeks from now, Christians will be celebrating the feast of Christmas, the day Christians believe Jesus was born. Ahead of this important event, preparations have reached fever pitch in the nation's capital. Since the beginning of December, the city has been added some extra beauty by the Yaoundé City Council to make it more attractive during Christmas as compared to other months. As of now, different lighting crews of about 5 to 15 persons can be seen around the Mvongbi roundabout to Coron, the Monte Primature and Tropicana, installing mini string lights on flowers, wide angle LED mini light, LED rope lights, animated and color changing lights, and many others using capital contractors that leaves 2 persons who install the lights from pole to pole. There are also natural and artificial trees around the pyramids with lights in them. According to sources from the Yaoundé City Council, the aim is to make this year's feast better than that of other years. In a bid to add glamour to the end of year festivities, the Yaoundé Council is currently decorating strategic areas in the town. Moving around the Yaoundé metropolis, one cannot be left indifferent with the major decorations taking place in the town. The effectiveness of this beautification project has started in certain major crossroads. The observation of the same, whether at the Baston's Vongbi roundabout, Mek crossroads. The signal is palpable with a truss of large, bright decorative plants. Blocks can be seen hanging around these circumstantial plans that show that the work has not come to an end. It is also good to note that these works, which kickstart in October, has to be delivered on December 15, 2021.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, you're watching the 6 p.m. English news over the Republican television. Let's now talk sport, where the trophy of the African Cup of Nations is in Cameroon. Officials of the Confederation of African Football and the main sponsor of the event, Total, presented the AFCON trophy to Sports Minister Narcisse Moile Kombi and the Prime Minister Joseph Dion Gute this Tuesday, December 7th in Yaoundé. Happy moments characterize the AFCON trophy presentation ceremonies, but most especially the trophy on Cameroonian soil is once more coming to confirm that Cameroon will host the AFCON competition 49 years after hosting its first one in 1972. Now let's take a listen to the general manager of Total, the official sponsor of the event, speaking on the microphone of Desiree Trésor and William Stabby.
Is just to be amongst our customers, all the people in Cameroon. So it's a great pleasure for us to present this trophy. As I said before, in French, we have done that in 17 countries in Africa. And as you know, the competition is going to be in Cameroon from the 9th of January to 6th of February. So right now we are going to present this trophy in each town where there will be some competition: Garoua, Limbe, Bafoussam, Douala and Yaoundé.
And on to news out of the country, Benin court has sentenced political opponent Joel Ivo to 10 years behind bars. In Democratic Republic of Congo, court grants provisional release to former chief of staff, and in Sudan, tear gas fires crowd in Khartoum in the protest against the October military coup. We have these stories in the following report with Ruth Fonyo.
A court in Benin has condemned academic and political opponent Joel Ivo to 10 years behind bars. The former presidential candidate was detained last April, the day after President Patrice Talon was re-elected with 86% of the vote. Joel Ivo rejected the accusation of conspiracy against the state and money laundering, denouncing the role of the court in silencing the opposition. Rich business Patrice Talon was first elected in 2016 and accused of authoritarianism by his opponent. Thousands of Sudanese took to the streets Monday in the capital of Khartoum and other cities in the latest protest against the October military coup and a subsequent deal that reinstated Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok. Security forces fired tear gas to disperse protesters marching into a street near the presidential palace in Khartoum. There were no immediate reports of casualties. In past rounds of demonstrations, security forces used violence, including live ammunition, against protesters, according to activists. At least 44 protesters have been killed and hundreds wounded since the coup. Monday protest was called by the Sudanese Professionals Association and the so-called resistance committees, which spearheaded the uprising against al-Bashir and then the military coup.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our 6 p.m. English news over Camdi's television. Desiree Trésor Bonnet will be with you when it's exactly 8 p.m. for news in the French language. But until then, do stay tuned to interesting programs over Camdi's television. Thanks for watching.